We're here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network as we have a chance to sit down and talk with Iowa 3rd District Congresswoman Cindy Axne about a couple high priority topics here today that are going on in Washington. Congresswoman Axne, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to visit with us.
Dustin, I love being here always with you, so glad to be talking to folks. I just left the floor where we were voting on a couple bills, and one of the most important things I did as I was on the floor between votes was talk to my colleagues about pushing for the three things I want to make sure we at least get into the next reconciliation package. And I want folks to know that literally biofuels was my very top request. So I'd never miss a beat when I'm on the floor to be able to talk to leadership about why it's so important to press Iowa values and the things that we need. We're in the middle of a vote series to increase sanctions, of course, and keep Russia from moving forward in Ukraine. And we're obviously want to limit their fossil fuel sales. So I'll be back for another set of votes in probably another half hour or so. In the meantime, going to keep working for Iowa.
So we're obviously talking about biofuels, and E15 is one of those things that we're going to talk about. It seems like it's had quite an uphill battle in the last few months, but it seems like there's some promise there on the horizon that we could see it come back to year-round again. You want to kind of give us an update as to what's going on?
Absolutely. So here's where we're at. We had within the Build Back Better agenda, I was able to get the bill in there that I have, which expands E15 year round through getting the infrastructure out there. And then Representative Craig and I are also leading, and many others, on the effort to fix a little bit of a snippet of language that would literally eliminate the pushback that we constantly seem to be getting against ethanol because of really data that doesn't represent its cleanliness. So we are working on all fronts to address those issues. But I feel pretty confident at this point, as you mentioned, after conversations I've had with the last couple of days with leadership, in getting our biofuels pieces into a package that could be coming up here. There is a lot of support for it. The president absolutely supports clean energy and biofuels. The speaker does as well, and so does other leadership. And from what I'm hearing, and I take all this with a grain of salt, everything with a grain of salt, that we've got the support in the Senate for this issue. So I am cautiously optimistic that this is finally going to be a piece of legislation that gets the support that it needs, and that we can move our biofuels agenda forward, hopefully this year.
Now, maybe you can speak to that. As you said, you've talked with leadership, and there's been that impression that the administration hasn't been too keen on furthering the biofuels. It looked like it was being left behind a lot of times when they talked electrification. What's kind of changed, or have we been missing maybe in that message from the administration?
Well, Dustin, I think what's been missing is exactly what you brought up. It's coming from the administration, and that's what I mean when I say the directors of the departments. It's not coming from President Biden. President Biden has always been in support of Midwest farmers, Iowa farmers, and our biofuels and clean energy that we produce in Iowa. The speaker is a big supporter of ethanol. I found that out late last year. I did not know she was such a big supporter of ethanol. And she was one who had pushed back against Obama to get more support for it back in the day. So what I can tell you is I think where the rubber hits the road on the pushback is within those departments, which is why whether it's Administrator Regan or EPA Director Granholm or whomever, I've been in meetings with all of them within the last 3 or 4 weeks. Every single one of them, as they keep talking EV, I'm like, Bubba, why are we not using a tool in our toolbox right now that would lower prices at the pump and help us with national security and, of course, fight back against climate change? This is a win-win-win across the board. And so that is where I think the issue is, Dustin, and it's my job and others' jobs, and why we do so much in working with those offices and writing letters to them to let them know that I'm representing Iowa, we need it. Folks like, my colleagues representing Minnesota, Illinois, et cetera, same thing. And the president wants this. And that's where I think the breakdown is really, honestly, it's these folks who have come in, they have their own agendas too. Sometimes it doesn't align to what they're hearing from, the president. And we don't always get the conversation moving to get it back in the right direction. That's where poking and prodding from congressional representatives happens. So that's what I think really happened. Just, people who think they're representing the president but just are kind of representing some of their background and what they'd like to see.
So the question being, E15 comes off the marketplace again here for the summer, in just like 6 weeks or so. Is it something you think Congress can have fixed and patched up before then?
Well, that's a tall order. 6 weeks is not much time out here from what I've learned over the last, unfortunately, a few years. But anything can happen. We know we're ready for it in Iowa. Other, ethanol producing states are as well. If we have the impetus to pass the bill, I think we can see this on the ground and moving absolutely by then. I just think 6 weeks is a little tight for something, for this, but I'm never going to say never for something that we know is so important.
All right, another topic that we're going to be talking about today is involving the National Weather Service and concerns the alert system and the system they have that's known as NWS chat and some of the things that need to be updated in that program. Tell us what's going on. We got the whole Iowa delegation behind this one. What's going on?
Yeah. So we've got the whole Iowa delegation behind fixing the issues that we're seeing from the National Weather Service and not giving us enough lead time in Iowa to ensure we can protect our folks and our property as much as possible. What we saw, so two things are happening. First started, I led a letter and got all of our Iowa delegation to co-lead it with me, a letter to the National Weather Service to basically say, we want to know why the heck this happened. We want to know how the heck 6 minutes went by without us receiving the information that we could have used here to possibly save people's lives. And so that's the first thing that we went after, which was we're going to get to the bottom of this, every single bit of it, and make sure that we fix it. And then secondly, we've all joined together, and Rep. Feenstra started it, and then we're all leading it with him, this bill to move the chat service to the cloud. So within the National Weather Service, you pointed out this chat situation that they have. That's literally their communication method with the emergency management offices around the country. Now, if they're having a problem down there, we can't have that affect Iowa. So this bill will move that chat service to the cloud, eliminate any technology disruption that could happen on ground, which it can. And so that will create some risk mitigation as well as security around getting the information here to us quickly, because it won't be beholden to some technical glitches that could happen in a server capacity or with fiber. Now, I will tell folks, I think this is a great bill and I'm really looking forward to having this. It also has to be in tandem, as I mentioned, with the other things that we're requesting from them. Because even if we move it to the cloud, which is a great opportunity for us, and I'm really glad we're doing this, that does not eliminate human error or other things that could have happened on the other side. So we also got to make sure that we're looking at that. But it does secure messaging so that if the chat truly did just go down that particular program, that will be gone. And we will have saved those 6 minutes and hopefully have saved some lives.
When you talk about that 6 minutes, having done severe weather coverage in my career as well, 6 minutes is an eternity when you're talking about a tornado or a fast-moving thunderstorm, and to not have a lag time where you don't know as a journalist what to give to your listeners or viewers because the system is down. That, like you said, that is a matter of life and death right there.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. As we all know, my goodness, we're familiar with tornadoes in Iowa. You're probably like me. I have memories of grabbing the transistor radio on my favorite doll and hiding in a shower with my sisters as my mom and dad weren't there. We're all familiar with this, in Iowa. But when we're seeing tornadoes like that in March, in winter still, at a level that is extreme, we have absolutely got to get ahead of the communication methodology because we are seeing more extreme weather patterns go through. We all know that. And to your point, the 6 minutes is life-saving. And that's why this is so important, because we just cannot, with everything that's happening around us, whether it is tornadoes or floods, I think about even out, folks out west with fires, whatever it is, there's no reason we should be waiting to get the information. We should not be beholden to people in another state all around this country to keep people in our own districts safe. So it's really important we get this done as those extreme weather patterns continue to just plague us all across the country and definitely in Iowa.
Well, definitely there's some good news to hopefully get that system upgraded and, like you said, bring it into the modern times once again. I mean, yes, 20, 30 years ago, that system was great, but now things have changed, technology's changed, and obviously, like you said, weather patterns have changed. And just for me, it was in the basement scrubbing potatoes and re-alphabetizing the salsas and the ketchups and stuff that Mom put up all during the summer. That's how I spent tornado warnings.
That is true Iowa form. Make your kid work during a tornado. That's hilarious.
Well, Congresswoman Axne, we thank you so much for the update and look forward to hearing more of them in the future.
Hey, always love it. Great to be with all of you today. Thank you so much.
That's Iowa 3rd District Congresswoman Cindy Axne here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.